This bonus selection is really out there. And who better to give us a selection that's really out there than our man who's really out there, DJ Turn Up. What's up, buddy?
What's up, Tony?
Or should I go, DJ Turn Up, woo, or whatever it is?
Either way, I gotta get a drop. I gotta get a drop from Tony Schiavone so I can play it at Southern Honor and amongst other things. Because I actually have it's funny. Shout out to Carly Bravo. I actually have a drop from him because he was one of the wrestlers from Southern Honor, one of the alumni.
Yeah, he's an idiot. No, I like Carly a lot. I give him a lot of shit, and I'm glad he's doing well. I really am.
Shout out to Carly.
So the listeners that don't know, you're obviously a disc jockey, and you keep very, very busy hours. I know that. That's good. That means you're doing a great job. You do also work for Southern Honor Wrestling. You do the DJing there, right?
Yes, sir. I DJ the pre-shows. Shout out to Gary Lamb.
Yep.
Me and DJ Tonic. Shout out to DJ Tonic. We do the pre-show. And yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, we do that.
Very cool. And that, of course, is up in Canton, Georgia. And we've had a lot of people who have wrestled through Southern Honor come on wrestle in AEW. So there you go. So I know you're a big wrestling fan. I know that. And you came up with, God, how do I explain this to people? It's Juggalo Championship Wrestling, Legends.
Oh, come up? Oh, I can honestly tell you, I absolutely did not come up with them. Here's the thing with this, right?
Okay.
So I actually, so I will say this.
Okay.
The greatest bonus podcast that you guys ever did,
right,
was the Alabama Doink versus Heidenreich at I think it was a Golden Corral or something.
Right.
And
yeah,
I tried my hardest to find something as crazy and as bananas as that match, and I recently just discovered this show on YouTube, because that's where I've been looking, is just crazy shows or matches on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I ran across this and I was like, oh man, this is
okay. So there's
so I've actually never watched this show. I have no idea. Yeah, I looked at the matches and I was like, oh, this is gonna be great. So
yeah, who
better to watch it with than my favorite announcer, my favorite commentator, and my favorite podcaster, Conrad Thompson.
Well, there you go. That is a noble reason to want to watch this thing. That's a noble reason. Yeah, it's actually really something. And when I saw this, I went, really? And I was not privy to what it was, but here's what it is. It's JCW Legends and Icons. Okay. That's the name of it. JCW JCW Legends.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's a totally different brand.
Yeah, Legends and Icons. Okay, so it's Juggalo Championship Wrestling, Legends and Icons. It's from 2011. And just to let you know, I started watching this thing, and I was thinking, what the hell? What are we watching here? And let me tell you why I said this. And this is not a knock on any of the guys who participated in this, but here's who's in it. Ken Patera wrestles Bob freaking Backlund. Okay? In 2011. Okay?
Tony, hold on. I just want to make you feel old real quick. Okay. Where were you in 2011?
I was doing Gwinnett Braves baseball.
I was graduating high school.
Son of a bitch. Okay. I had a feeling you'd say something like that. Anyway, the reason I say that is that Ken Patera and Bob Backlund in 2011, way removed from their careers. Midnight Express, Midnight Express, Rock and Roll Express. Okay, we're talking about Bobby Eaton and Dennis Condrey against Morton and Gibson. Okay, Coco Beware's in the show. Dutch Mantel is in the show. Austin Idol, Tracy Smothers, Kevin Nash, Mick Foley, Terry Funk, Bob Orton, Roddy Piper. What the flying fuck are we watching? And I'm thinking that this has to be, maybe I'm wrong, but this has to be the final match of maybe some of these guys' career.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And look, like I said, I only chose this because like I just wanted this. I wanted this to top the Alabama doink in the hiding right.
All right.
Because this is this is going to be something. I can't wait to watch it.
We are going to watch it together, and we are going to praise your name as we watch it. Actually, no, Conrad's going to shit all over you, but you know how that goes. You know.
Right. If he shits on me, that means he loves me. So
Yeah, that's right.
I'm cool with that.
All right. Ronnie Garvin, Tony Atlas, Brutus Beefcake.
Oh wait, no, you got to say it. Brutus the fucking
Barber Beefcake. Yes. Rikishi. Oh my God. This. I mean, really, you talking about Shane Douglas, Al Snow, Sabu, Rhino, Balls Mahoney, Raven, Two Cold Scorpio. You're talking about guys who really had a lot of TV exposure through the years. I mean, these are real well-known names in wrestling, but it's way later.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's 2011. Yeah. And yeah. This is,
and one of the unique things they did, which I thought and of course I haven't watched the whole thing, but when I'm perusing through it, one of the neat things I thought was the commentators would take the guy who just wrestled and he would sit down with them and do commentary, which I thought was kind of cool. Anyway, we'll watch it together. What's that? Go ahead, buddy.
Oh no, I was just saying it's different. I can appreciate them being different.
All right. Well, DJ, you're different, and we appreciate you for being that way. Okay. Best of luck in all your endeavors, and we always appreciate what you do for us. All right, get ready. It's it's JCW. Why do I mix up G and J? It's J.
Because you're thinking of Game Changer Wrestling.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Totally different. Yeah, that's totally different.
All right.
Yeah, definitely.
My apologies to them. JCW, Legends and Icons from 2011. This was recorded in Cave in Rock, Illinois. That's right, Cave in Rock, Illinois. Back in December of 2011. All right, DJ, good talking to you. Keep up the good work, and we'll talk to you soon, okay?
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you, buddy. And we are clear. We appreciate your time, buddy. Good stuff.
Thanks, Tony. I honestly can't wait to see this. I've never watched this, so this is gonna be fun.
It'll be great. Thanks again, man.
All right, thanks, Tony.
Talk to you soon.
Tony, Schiavone, and Conrad's on the TV, on your PC, even on your phone. Come on, take a ride down memory lane. Money's a forward, happy way. Tell me, tell me, has so many questions. Gotta let me know. Conrad fired up, ready to go. Tell me, tell me, has so many questions. Gotta let me know. Conrad fired up, ready to go.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson, and you're listening to What Happened When? With the voice of your childhood, Tony Schiavone. Tony, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm doing great, Conrad. I hope everyone else is. We are going to watch. This is from DJ Turnup.
Oh, of course it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So if you listen to the beginning of this podcast, when I was interviewing DJ Turnup about this, when I saw that he wanted to watch this, I thought, oh yeah, that's right. I mean, DJ works for Southern Honor Wrestling. He's the disc jockey there, big into wrestling. We've seen him at a lot of events. He's here in the Metro Atlanta area. And I thought, yeah, a fucking knucklehead like him wants to see this. Well, we find out that he had never seen this, but he knows it's shitty, and he wanted us to watch something shitty.
I love that.
Because he thought the time that we watched outside of the Golden Corral, Alabama Doink, or
He
whatever.
loved that.
He loved that. He thought it was our greatest, that we shit on it. So here we go. This absolute show, and I watched some of this and kind of scrolled through the rest. This show absolutely amazes me. Amazes me were the guys who wrestled on this show who were way past their prime.
Yes.
I don't know how in the world they paid all these legends. How did they do it? I don't know. It's just like, for God's sakes, you got people in, I mean, okay.
So we got Kevin Gill, who, KG, he's doing the commentary on the show. He's going to be joined. He's doing play-by-play. Color will be Mick Foley.
Uh-huh.
Dave Penzer is doing ringside introductions. Bill Apter is doing the backstage interviews.
Right.
We started the show with Tito Santana versus Greg the Hammer Valentine.
Uh-huh. In a cage.
Then we had a 15-man battle royal with Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Headbanger Mosh, Rugged Ronnie Garvin, Headbanger Thrasher, Carlito, Superfly Jimmy Snuka, Tony Atlas, Big Daddy V, Rob Conway, Zach Gowen, Doink the Clown, Eugene, Brutus the Barber Beefcake, Disco Inferno, and Rikishi. And then we had the Rock and Roll Express versus the Midnight Express, Beautiful Bobby and Loverboy Dennis.
Dennis Condrey, absolutely.
And then we had Raven versus Balls Mahoney versus Shane Douglas versus Sabu versus Too Cold Scorpio versus Al Snow versus Rhino. And they can't call it an ECW match, so they call it a 7-man Philly Madness show. And we're going to pick it up from there, and we're going to watch, I can't believe this is real, Bob Backlund versus Ken Patera. Then we'll catch Dutch Mantel versus Coco Beware versus Brickhouse Brown versus Doug Gilbert versus Austin Idol. It's a 5-way Memphis Madness match.
Right.
Then we'll watch Tracy Smothers versus Wildfire Tommy Rich. Then we'll watch the New Age Outlaws wrestle Kevin Nash and X-Pac with Scott Hall in their corner. And then in the main event, Terry Funk versus Roddy Piper with Bob Orton Jr. in his corner. This is an unbelievable card.
It is.
Juggalo Championship Wrestling presents Legends and Icons 2011. It's absolutely free on YouTube. We've got the link in the description, or you can just look up Juggalo Championship Wrestling Live presents Legends and Icons 2011 Gathering of the Juggalos. The show, the entire show, goes about 2.5 hours. We're going to pick it up at 1 hour, 20 minutes and 41 seconds. That's 1 hour, 20 minutes and 41 seconds. You'll see Mick Foley with a bottle of water in his left hand, wearing the cans and the leopard print shirt with a Juggalo shirt underneath, a Hatchet Man. And to his left, Kevin Gill on the headsets. And this is going to be a crazy, wild show. I'm looking forward to this.
I'm blown away by it. I mean, we're talking about 2011, right?
Yeah.
So, and again, I was out of wrestling here, so I didn't know this happened. So let's go ahead and roll it. And I got to ask you some things about.
Okay.
So do you remember the show happening?
No, I wasn't watching wrestling in 2011. And even if I was, I don't know that I would have been paying attention to the Gathering of the Juggalos, wrestling. I probably would have just been watching WWF and or TNA. Thankfully I was watching neither one. 2011 was dark time.
Apparently so.
But yeah, 1 hour, 20 minutes, 41 seconds. You want to do a little countdown here and we'll get going?
Let's go in 3, 2, 1, play.
It's Eddie Sharkey.
It's an Eddie Sharkey guy, huh? I think there's always that confusion that he may have been a Vern Gagne guy.
That's true. He may have been part of the camp.
Yeah, he may. Well, no, I believe you're right. It's Eddie Sharkey, but I just always associate Bob with that great amateur style wrestling.
Ladies and gentlemen, the next contest is scheduled for one fall. Introducing first, from Princeton, Minnesota, Bob Backlund.
Wow, look at Bob Backlund. Peak of physical condition.
Dude, Bob is in great shape here.
Yeah, he is.
You can just tell when he comes out, like he's ready to go. I somehow have a feeling that that is not going to be the case when we see him.
No, They did something here that I thought was very unique and I liked.
Oh yeah.
That when guys would leave the ring, they would stop by and talk to the announcers.
Okay. I like that.
That's kind of different. Okay. So explain to me, there's a Hulk Hogan guy. Uh, explain to me, Juggalo Championship Wrestling.
It's just, they want to promote shows and they got to name it something. So, they have these big, they have a festival every year called the Gathering of the Juggalos. And so it would be like a Woodstock type deal with different performers on different stages and other events. Like, they're going to have just sort of Juggalo adjacent stuff. So things with Fago and merch and, blah, blah, blah. And obviously all the concerts, but they're big wrestling fans. So they would run a wrestling show and they used to actually do pretty well with it. And they even did a voiceover where the actual Insane Clown Posse, Violent J and Shaggy Two Dope, they pretended to be wrestling announcers and they redid commentary on the IWA King of the Death match with Mick Foley and Terry Funk. They watched the whole show and they renamed them because of course they didn't own the IP, but they were like, yeah, we're just going to show this footage. And of course, technically that meant they made way more on the shit than the guys in the matches did. Now they shouldn't have been doing it. It was bootleg, but it was Japan versus America. They were like, oh, fuck it. Let them sue us. Let them stop us, whatever. Yeah. So they called them Cactus Sack and Terry Fuck. But either way, apparently Mick felt a certain type of way about that. Like, hey, these guys are making money off of me. And I fucking literally burned and had, the blood, sweat, and tears associated with this. So when he ran into him in an airport or something, I guess he confronted him like, hey man, cause they were like really excited to meet him cause they're big wrestling fans. And he was like, I don't appreciate blah, blah, blah. And according to Mick, and I don't have all the details, but I believe that they broke him off something real proper like, so they were all good again. So good for them.
Okay. You said broke him off some real proper like?
Yeah. They gave him some cash, Tony.
Gotcha.
Enough cash that he shut the fuck up. And he was like, all right, cool, man. Good to see y'all. Thanks for all you did. It went from contentious to, okay, you made it right. Thanks.
Yeah. So, Insane Clown Posse is the duo that came up with this whole Juggalo thing. They're in charge of everything, right?
That's right.
Okay.
Shaggy Two Dope and Violent J. Violent J is a big listener of our podcast.
Well, you know what? He was really a cool guy in WCW.
He's a nice guy.
Yes, he is.
He gets a bad rap, and I understand that, people are critical
I'm sorry. Does he get a bad rap on Twitter? Really? Fuck those people on Twitter.
There you go.
Fuck them. Look at Ken Patera. Gee, many Christmas. The good news about what we're going to watch, and we're going to watch a little bit over an hour stuff, is that no match goes over 6.5 minutes.
Thank God.
Yeah. Ken Patera looks like an aged guy from the Alps getting ready to yodel. Doesn't he?
I love you for that.
Okay. And it breaks my heart. I got to meet Ken. I know he's no longer with us. It breaks my heart because in my fandom as a kid,
right,
Ken Patera was right there, man. He had that USA singlet.
Oh yeah.
He had that big blonde bushy hair.
Oh, the afro.
Yeah, the big blonde bushy afro. Man, he was oh, and I got to meet him and I just gushed like a fucking schoolboy that I got to meet him. And so, it kind of pains me to see this, but there it is. I hope he got some money for this.
Oh, I'm sure he did.
Yeah. And of course, he is well known for destroying the McDonald's. Okay. Who was with him at that time? Was also involved in that.
Saito, I think.
Yeah, Mr. Saito. I don't know. Apparently, they wanted to get something to eat. McDonald's wouldn't give them anything. And well, it's a famous story from back in the day.
Yeah, it was Masa Saito.
Uh-huh.
You know what? I just realized Massa, was boys with Eric Bischoff
Uh-huh.
and Ken Patera, of course, a Minnesota guy
Sure.
like Eric Bischoff.
Right.
What a small world all this is. You
Mhm.
know it?
Yep. Yep. As you can tell, Ken can't do much of anything. But just amazing that they found. Now we're talking about 2011. So we're talking about, obviously, you can add 15 years ago. Okay. And Ken Patera's heyday was 70s, late 70s. So think about how long it had been since he was really Ken Patera. And I mean, Ken didn't do a lot of things, but he was really athletic. He was a legit weightlifter in the Olympics. And they had him. I think it's interesting how they just took taking a camera shot of the announcers here during the match. But Ken, my memories of Ken Patera was Ken Patera and Baron von Raschke together as a tag team in Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling. It didn't happen for long, but I do remember that. And of course, I'm talking about Ken Patera a lot because it's part of my fandom, but obviously Bob Backlund was a big star too. Isn't it interesting how, I guess when Junior took over the business, that he wanted to, am I right to say he wanted to get rid of Backlund as world champion? Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, Backlund had been champ for quite a while, but he was looking to go more mainstream. He
Right.
wanted less of the down and dirty traditional classic wrestling. He wanted more glitz, more
Right.
sizzle, less steak. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and I guess his father thought that Backlund was the quote unquote next Bruno Sammartino.
Well, he was in terms of, the longevity and all that, but the world had changed. Like I think what Vince McMahon, the one that we know, I think he just understood, hey, there's a shelf life on this, but things are changing. People are evolving. And so he wanted to up the production and the and the glitz and the glamour and make it feel more like a comic book and less like whatever we're watching now.
Right.
And by the way, I think he did it kind of respectfully because, I mean, yes, I know the Iron Sheik beat Backlund, but
Right.
I think they didn't want Hulk to beat Backlund.
Right.
Because there's a chance, hey, what if we're wrong? What if I like it, but they hate it? I don't want to kill the business and to kill Backlund in the process. And I want to be respectful and do right by him because he's one of my dad's loyal soldiers, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So, hey, we'll have this nasty heel, this foreign heel beat him because that's what, and I don't think people talk about this enough, but Kevin Sullivan pointed it out. I actually watched the UFC with him years ago. And whenever you were watching a UFC, they'll do that whole tale of the tape. And so they'll show you, here's how old they are. Here's their record. Here's their height. Here's their weight. Here's their reach. Maybe they'll tell you their trainer, their hometown, all that sort of shit. What their primary discipline or background is, all that sort of stuff. But they would also include their country's flag because he was trying to show, Dana White was, that this is a global sport. So there were a lot of Brazilians in early UFC, and now we've seen, Russia and Europe, and I mean, just all over. It's really, really grown. But that was one of the hallmarks of Vince's father's promoting. And I will be honest, that predates my fandom. So I wasn't really in tune with that. When I was watching it with Sullivan, he said, boy, they're just borrowing from Vince Sr. And I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, he had an Italian champion for all the Italians, and he had a Puerto Rican champion for all the Puerto Ricans. Had a Polish. I mean, and I was like, wow, when you really go through it, he really did. I mean, even like the original Hulk Hogan name, he was supposed to be his Irish wrestler. I was fascinated by that because it predates my fandom, and it's like, wow, he's on to something. So leaning into that nationality thing, I'm sure that's when Vince Jr., not really Junior, but you know what I mean, When Vincent Kennedy McMahon took over, he was like, all right, we'll have our all-American boy lose to this foreign heel. And we'll say he's from Iran. He was, but you know, you've got all the controversy surrounding that. And okay, now we need a new American hero. That's going to be Hulk Hogan. The transition and what a risk it was.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Well, you know what? Every time you book something, it's a risk.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, different levels of risk, but you take a risk that, hey, are people going to buy it? Is it good? Is it good going forward? Is it a good story? Should we stop it? I mean, it's just, you know, you may out there as a Twitter idiot be out there and
a twittiot.
A twittiot, yeah, very good, twittiot, and second guess booking. But you ain't the only one. The people that book second guess it as well.
Right.
They do. So, okay, Bob Backlund just beat Ken Patera, who is slowly making his way down the steps. And Ken Patera's not done. 6.5 minutes of really a bad match. But it was great to see Ken Patera put on the bear hug. Love a freaking bear hug.
Scrooge McSuck recapped this match online.
Who did?
Scrooge McSuck.
Okay, I know he does.
He says, why the hell are these two not in the not a battle royal or not a Royal Rumble match? Bob Backlund is in decent shape for his age, but Ken Patera looks like hell.
Yeah.
I would much rather see Patera recreate his infamous McDonald's incident. Take a look at Patera's layering of attire, a t-shirt, then a singlet, then a pair of fat guy shorts. For a second, I thought it was suspenders, but nope. It's his old school ring attire. Backlund uses a speed advantage to avoid Patera. Write your own joke with that one. Backlund continues to work his goofy style, no doubt thrilling a modern day Dave Meltzer. They lock knuckles with the advantage going to Patera. Backlund escapes, finds himself trapped in a bear hug. I almost expected a Northern Lights suplex. They go 6 minutes and 13 seconds.
Yeah. So who was this again that criticized?
Scrooge McSuck.
Yeah, Scrooge, what the fuck have you ever done in wrestling? That's my question. I'll answer it for you. Not a fucking thing.
I love you.
All right, let's track these two guys.
Yeah, sure. Let's do a little commentary.
Well, if we're gonna shoot, Mick, we can shoot. No, he's crazy in a good way.
Crazy like a fox.
Crazy, and you know he wants people to know the president.
He does, and that's about education.
Hey, Bob, if you don't mind, man, I have to tell you. Bob, here's a mic for you. We've known each other a long time. Amazing how seemingly polar opposite people just bonded. You really seem to take to these people, and they took to you.
This is good.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
There we go.
Hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you right there. That
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes, he's doing it.
Yes, we can.
How about you? Can you hear me?
This is for the people at home, Bob Backlund. This is for the people at home.
This is for you.
Yeah.
You know what? Next time I come here, I'm going to clean up your language.
Whoa.
Hey, Bob, don't exacerbate me.
Wow, Bob Backlund.
Yeah, I told you, he's batshit crazy. Can I say that on TV?
Sure you can.
It's pay-per-view, right? Yeah.
This is just
Hey, so a minute ago you said, hey, Scrooge McSuck, what have you ever done in wrestling?
Mm-hmm.
I defended maybe sometimes but I'm going to round up and say our friend Eric Bischoff.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, as you know, he, like others, has been critical of stuff that's happened in AEW.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, when someone was sort of slagging on Eric, I said, I see this sort of criticism for Eric all the time, but it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, who's better qualified to discuss being a challenger brand for WWE and what worked and what didn't than Eric?
Mm-hmm.
Someone who never did any of it. Watch this clip from Steve Martin's 1992 film Leap of Faith, as I think this character does a better job explaining than I possibly could. And so there were a bunch of comments underneath that, and it created a big discussion and back and forth. But one of the things that happened is people said that I had become a grifter like him. And I said, hey, Paul, Google the word and then come back and tell me who I committed fraud against or swindled out of money. My goodness.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, you know exactly what I mean. And I said, no, I don't. Who did I swindle out of money? And What's that word? That's what that word means. So defend it or delete it, you coward.
Mhm.
And Conan jumped in and said, FYI, Conrad, grifter is one of those cute buzzwords for these wrestling fanboy experts like to use on anyone that is considered an old head, which is being used incorrectly here. Anyways, they are arguing with someone who did something in the biz versus simp fans' opinions. And Steve Freedom says, what has Conrad done for the business other than marry into the Flair family and kiss Tony's ass? If not for that, he would be an overweight real estate agent.
Mhm.
And I replied and said, never have I ever been a real estate agent, but I did bring Bruce and Tony back into wrestling, create StarCast, help make All In a destination, announce the kickoff of AEW, do international podcast tours, get a show on WWE Network, and run the second largest independent show of all time before going in the Hall of Fame last year. Doing my best to contribute as my part-time gig. What have you done in wrestling, pal? I'll hang up and listen. And for the record, I didn't marry into her family. She married into mine. Quote, she used to be Ric Flair's daughter, but now she's Conrad Thompson's wife, said Ricky Morton. Have a nice weekend. And it got a little traction. And some of the boys like JBL and Conan and Eric Bischoff and Bully Ray, they had a blast at me just ethering motherfuckers. But it just makes me think of you whenever I see that. It's like, I don't even know a Steve Freedom. But Steve Freedom sure does think he knows a lot about me. He said I'm an overweight real estate agent. I've never sold a house. I mean, I've sold my own personal house, but you know what I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Well, he can just go fuck himself, number one.
Yeah.
And he probably sucks dicks, number two.
Oh, yeah,
Okay?
of course.
Yeah.
I love you.
And so Steve, Freedom this. The whole thing that blows my mind about that entire discussion you just had, monologue you just had, is that you would even get involved with these fuckers.
Yeah, you're probably right. I should probably just delete it off my phone and just let Lori handle it.
Exactly. And I want to tell you something. If you think I was a great deleter of people, ooh, she knows what she's doing.
I love that.
Yeah.
Hey, we just saw Dutch Mantel come to the ring, and here comes Coco Beware. And I'll admit, I haven't seen Coco in a long time. I'm looking forward to this silly Memphis match. What we're about to watch is Dutch versus Coco versus Brickhouse Brown versus Doug Gilbert versus Austin Idol. I wanted to bring something up. I know that we're on a little Twitter soapbox here.
Yeah.
But Dutch Mantel was telling a story recently on his podcast, and he does a great job on his podcast. I haven't caught all of them, but I've seen some clips on YouTube, and I think they do a terrific job. And you and I both know how smart and what a great storyteller Dutch Mantel is.
One of the best.
So I'm glad that he's finally found a lane to sort of share his opinions and all that, because he's so smart.
Mm-hmm.
But he's trying to talk about the story of the murder of Bruiser Brody down in Puerto Rico.
Yeah. Because he was there.
And he's there. He's in the building. And so he's explaining that when someone came and told him, they said Jose did it. And it wasn't clicking for him that they're saying Invader. And he goes, he said something like, Jose did it, is what he was told. And he responded to that and said, now listen, everybody in Puerto Rico is named Jose. I didn't know they were talking about Invader. And people online, a handful, started to say, oh, look how controversial this is. Can you believe he would say everyone in Puerto Rico is named Jose? We got to cancel Dutch Mantel. Yeah. And I'm like, are you fucking serious? He's saying that Jose in Puerto Rico is a common name, like Joe or Tony or Mike or Billy. Yep. It's a common name in the area. He's not saying everyone. Why does everybody take everything so goddamn literally? He was saying, I didn't associate this guy's shoot name with his gimmick name. Dutch had been going around. Hey, that's Invader. He knows him as Invader. So he didn't know his real name was Jose. And even if he did, how many fucking Jose's are there? Like, he wouldn't have possibly, that's what he was trying to say is, I didn't realize he meant Invader. I'm thinking, okay, well, who the fuck's Jose? But when the response was, well, gotcha. I was like, are you fucking serious?
Yeah, they are, because they're idiots.
That's not worthy of canceling someone over, you fucking idiot. But the idea that we have to be so careful with our words. Okay, he said everybody's name. All right, he didn't mean everybody. But what he meant was Jose's a common name.
Yeah.
Like, how is that lost on? They're just assholes.
Yeah. They're terrible people. And you know what? I blame my generation.
Really?
Yeah. We didn't teach our children. We didn't teach our children better.
Wow. That's some deep shit right there, boy.
Yeah. I blame us. Now, of course, all my kids are millennials and are now in their 30s. Matt's in his 40s. So really, we're talking about the generation after them, probably more than that. But maybe not. You don't know who is behind the fucking name. And that, to me, is one of the reasons that you should just not, as Austin Idol comes out, God bless him. That is why, here is one guy, Austin Idol, that I've known about and never worked with. Isn't that something? I've worked with so many people, but never Austin Idol. Yep. As you can tell, Austin Idol got sneaking in a little watermelon. Here's tights there.
I met him for the first time a few years ago in St. Louis when I did commentary on that NWA show at the Chase. I really just wanted to go to the Chase because I'd heard so much about it. And, one of my great regrets, and I'll admit, I wasn't like knee deep in wrestling fan. I mean, obviously I was when I was younger, but like, not like now, but I wish in hindsight, I would have been able to visit the Omni. I would have been able to visit the Sportatorium.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I missed those, and as silly as it is, I know it's a dump, and everybody says it's a piece of shit, and blah blah blah. I'd like to go to the Cow Palace, but I've hit so many other classic wrestling buildings. All of them in Chicago, all of them in New York.
Right.
I mean, to be at Hammerstein, to be at Madison Square Garden, to be at the ECW Arena.
Right.
I mean, to be at the Asylum in Nashville. These are like legendary, historic. This is where it went down. And I never got to see a show at the Mid-South Coliseum, but I would have loved to. And I hate that I missed some of those because I think it would have been really cool to just walk through the Sportatorium one time.
No doubt. And you're talking about the Sportatorium in Texas, right?
Yeah. World class.
Yeah. There was one in Florida too, where they taped Championship Wrestling from Florida. And that's on Tampa Street or the old Sportatorium, Tampa Avenue. And I went by there one time and I took pictures. I don't think I have those pictures any longer. I don't think that was before I saved everything on Google Photos, but I took pictures of the building that is there now, which is the old building, which they've kind of chopped it up, so to speak, and made like a storefront, apartments, whatever. And you look at it and you go, there's no way there was pro wrestling in that building. No way. But that's one of the buildings that I always wanted to see. Greensboro Coliseum is another one. A lot of people today I've talked to get a big kick out of going by the old Turner Studios. And they say that the Turner Studios that we did World Championship Wrestling in are not the same. In other words, they're smaller. They've redesigned it or whatever. So that's another one. The old Turner Studios, the old mansion, right?
Yep.
Which is still there, but it's not as prominent as it used to be because they put up these big buildings on the side of it. One says Cartoon Network. The other says something else. I don't know. But yeah, the legendary wrestling venues. And I was with you at Madison Square Garden. So.
Well, isn't that wild? Like on some level, that feels like that was 100 years ago. And then it's also like, well, it was about 2 years ago. And it was more than 5 years ago at this point. And it's crazy to think at that point, you weren't with AEW.
Yep.
And you were at the show, but like me, just sitting in the stands.
Yeah. Well, it's really all about exposure. It is. And that's why I realize that when I go to places like WrestleCon, WrestleCade or whatever, and we talked right through this Memphis match, didn't we?
Yeah,
My God.
The winner, as it should be, Austin Idol. Yeah. He don't do no jobs, Daddy.
Yeah. But it's all about exposure. Today I couldn't really sit in the stands.
Oh no.
Yeah. But back then, some people remembered me, some didn't. It was cool. got to see Gary Juster, got to go backstage and see Haku. And that's where I got to meet Jay White for the first time. And that was a pretty cool experience. It really was. I like how Austin Idol doesn't want to get out of the ring. We still have a problem today.
Somebody doesn't like getting out of the ring?
Well, it's not like they don't like getting out of the ring. It's they're in the moment, right?
Oh, I see.
Yeah. And
they're just living it up.
Yeah, or they've been hurt, right? And we've got to move on.
I see.
And, okay. And
so what you're saying is we got to scrape the carcass up faster.
Yeah, because we got another match coming up.
Yeah. So what y'all ought to do is get like a pizza peel. And you could just scrape up Darby Allin right off the street there in NYC.
Yeah.
And then just, throw him in the back and let Doc Sampson come rub some dirt on it.
Yeah.
Have you seen that? You know what? Now that we're thinking about this Darby YouTube series with Super Dave inspired that we just talked about on the other, what if in the middle, like after somebody gets hurt, we have Doc Sampson in the back do his best Mr. Miyagi, and we play that music and he claps and starts rubbing his hands together, and we got the dramatic music. And I know Darby just got hit by a bus, but if Doc could just clap and rub on it, and then he's good.
Yeah.
I'm for it.
I'm for it too. Listen, I know, and I know how you are. I know we could make some fucked up crazy TV.
Oh, there ain't no doubt.
Ain't no doubt.
Let me and you just turn loose.
Maybe that's my call in life when my deals is done with AEW.
Maybe you need to pitch Tony.
Yeah. No, I'm not pitching anybody. We'll do it our own.
Oh, okay. I'm for it. Really fuck it. Let's do it right now.
Right. And let's get those guys who criticized you that we were talking about on Twitter to book for us, since they know so fucking much. Let's have them write a script.
I love you.
So this match ended, and what was I? So here's what happened now, and I think it's great. If you come to an AEW show live, you'll notice that people are in the ring, and the house lights go dark.
Yes,
and that's I think that's some that WWE used to do that, and I think Mansouri brought that over with us. But that is so cool. It's like another ring, but when the lights go dark, everybody knows to get out of the ring.
Yes.
Yeah. The lights go dark and we'll play something on the big screen or something like that.
Get the fuck out.
Yeah. But I get it. I mean, I understand the kids. It's difficult to get out after, if you've had like a 10, let's say 15-minute match and you're selling and you've it's been an angle where you've been attacked. It's not easy to just pop up and jump out of the ring.
Yes.
So I get it. I understand kind of where they're coming from. Okay. So, this girl is nothing like what we saw with Sable in our other bonus podcast.
What does that mean? Nothing like?
Well, I think most girls are nothing like Sable.
Well, that's fair.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you that. That's fair.
I mean, she was a 10, right?
Oh, ain't
no doubt. I mean, she just kind of just,
in that era, man, like she became one of their biggest stars, one of their biggest merch movers. Like I was always a Sunny guy, still am. I mean, you know what I mean? Like not real life Tammy Sitch. I'm just saying.
Right.
But anyway, I'm saying all that to say the response she got, the quarter hours, the t-shirt sales, just every bit of it. She became a megastar for Vince fast overnight. And respectfully, it's not because she was cutting great promos or having 5-star Will Ospreay, Kenny Omega, Okada matches.
Right.
She was just a very beautiful woman, and so beautiful that people changed the channel to see more of her, and they bought the t-shirt, and like, that is still hard for me to imagine. Like,
look, it's sex appeal.
I get it, but
it sells, and it still does, regardless of what anybody will say. And anybody will say, "Oh, you're sexist. You know, you only look at women as objects." Well, you know what? There's people out there that want to
say that you can't call a woman beautiful?
Who says that?
Oh, I've heard that before. They're out of their fucking mind. They're beautiful women out there. Okay, so
look at Tommy Rich. Somebody say something about lasagna.
was that not fun having him at the Top Guy weekend?
Dude, he was so great, so fun, and a real bona fide old school Southern wrestling legend.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really rare to me that I find somebody in my real life who's I'm not going to say an older person. I guess I am. I'm going to say an older person. People who are in their late 40s, 50s, 60s,
right?
Whenever it comes out to them that I'm even loosely associated with wrestling. Like Tony, I don't think a lot of people in that age group, they understand content creation, YouTube, television, radio, podcast. It all is just sort of like, and they ask this. So you do that wrestling stuff?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, what am I supposed to say to that? Am I supposed to say, no, I'm not a professional wrestler? Duh. Everybody listening to this knows that. But I understand they're just trying to make conversation. They're not trying to, have it go down an ugly road or whatever. And so I'll say, yep. And they're like, I don't watch it. Okay. And you know where I'm going next.
Yeah.
But whatever happened to, but do you remember, and believe it or not, here in North Alabama, it's always Tojo Yamamoto.
Huh.
But I had a branch manager who worked with me in Ohio. Really nice lady. And when so you do that wrestling stuff? Well, kinda, not really. Well, I don't watch. But do you remember Tommy Rich? And I'm like, as a matter of fact, I do. And she goes, he was my boyfriend. And I stopped what I was doing and I said, what'd you say? And she said, well, no, not in real life. But when I was a kid, me and my girlfriends, we all watched wrestling and we'd go to the matches and we were obsessed with Tommy Rich. We used to have fights about when we got older, which one of us was going to marry him.
Wow.
Like we were Tommy Rich diehards. And I'm like, are you serious right now? She's like, oh yeah. So when he came to our Top Guy, I had him sign her an 8x10 and cut a little video and sent it to her. And she couldn't believe, oh my God, you know Tommy Rich? And of all the people, I mean, I got Vince McMahon and Tony Khan and Stone Cold's phone number in my phone right here.
Right.
Doesn't know who any of those people are. Doesn't care. Like, you want to know Hulk Hogan's number or Ric Flair's number? Got it. If she's like, you have Tommy Rich's phone number? And I go, yeah. She goes, can I have it? And I'm like, no, you can't have it. Why did you see the video? He doesn't look like Tommy Rich from 1981 anymore. And she's like, he was my dream. And I don't know, but it just, cause when I look at Tommy, no Diddy, I'm like, wait a minute. That dude was the draw. He was the matinee idol. That's hard for me to wrap my head around. Like if somebody's like Tom Zink, I'm like, well, I get that. That's a damn good looking man. But Tommy Rich, what? Okay.
Tommy Rich was a matinee idol in his day.
I believe it.
I mean, in the South, Georgia Championship Wrestling, right? They gave him the world title for like a week. I think he won it in Gainesville and lost it in Augusta or vice versa, something like that. And so yeah, Tommy was every girl's boy. They are shooting that woman's rear end. He was every girl's dream back. I mean, Arn Anderson said he's a matinee idol. Would always say that.
Yeah.
And I would say it's idol, not idol.
I love you for that.
Yeah. I just saw on YouTube, I clicked on it, the Ole Anderson turning on Thunderbolt Patterson.
That's great shit, isn't it?
Yeah, World Championship Wrestling. I was holding the microphone. Don't remember it at all, but it was one of the early days of us on TBS.
Yes.
And early days, 85. Of course, we started in April of 85. And listen to Arn talk. It was fucking hilarious. It really popped me with that New York Yankees hat on.
Oh, hey, shout out to Brock Anderson. He and CW Anderson became the tag team champions for AML there in that Mid-Atlantic region over the weekend. I'm glad to see Brock still hanging around and doing wrestling, and really cool to see him tagging with CW Anderson, one of our favorites from ECW way back when.
Yep, absolutely. And once again, Brock Anderson's father is one of the greatest people of all time, and don't connect with him enough. But you know how I am with friends, right?
Oh, sure. I mean, listen, it is what it is. I mean, well, I feel lucky that you're still able to carve out enough time to do the show every week, because I don't think people really understand the workload and the pressure that you deal with day in, day out. But in addition to that, also running a household with a bunch of Howl at the Moon dogs, there's a lot, and there's travel. I mean, you're on the road for the Wednesday show, on the road for the Saturday show, doing the pickups, doing the office work, doing the commentary, doing the interviews, I mean, it is just one thing after another. I mean, if you started actually keeping a timer on the amount of time you work, it is redonkulous. I mean, it is Bruce Pritchard level, more so, because Bruce is flying on the company jet and he's home every night, and you are not. You're in and out of hotels. I don't know how you do it all, man.
Well, I'm enjoying it. This week we ran Jacksonville twice as we're recording this. We ran Jacksonville on Wednesday. We ran Jacksonville on Saturday.
You love that, didn't you?
Yeah. So I drove up and back to Jacksonville on Wednesday, and Lois was like really pissed off. So what time did you get in? Well, I got in at 4:30. You're going to kill yourself. And then I tried to do it on Saturday. I drove up, drove back. I got about, to Cordele on 75, and I started losing it. So I got a hotel that night. And I was telling Lois, you've never driven with me, but when I start to get tired, I go into another universe.
What does that mean?
Well, let me explain.
Okay.
Jay Black and Chris Schiavone can attest to this, because they rode with me one time, or a couple of times, from a UGA football game. I start talking nonsensical shit. Like one time we were driving back from Clemson. I was just doing a conversation with Jay, and Jay stopped me. He said, I don't know what the fuck you're saying. I have no idea what's going on. I have no idea who you're talking to. You're spouting. Didn't do it in tongues like I was in church or something, like a Pentecostal church, but I was just talking shit. And so I'm driving, and I'm driving back, and I'm saying shit out loud. There's nobody in the car.
Right.
And I knew right then that I had to pull over because I was getting tired. Anyway, that's an inside story, but I do a lot. And Lois gets mad at me because I come home and then I immediately go up to the office and start writing scripts, or I'll go up to the office and I'll answer emails about talent relations or something. But it is a very, very busy life, but Jesus, how fortunate am I to still be doing it at this age, at this level? I'm really a lucky guy. I've said it many times. And then I go back and I click on the YouTube thing and I see me holding the microphone for Ole Anderson or Ric Flair, or even later Blackjack Mulligan. God almighty. How lucky am I?
Right.
So yeah. So, but yeah, talent relations can take it out of you. We are watching Scott Hall get in the ring. Boy. Oh, he's got the microphone. You want to track
the JWO? Here we go.
Foley.
Hey, yo.
Oh.
For years and years, about whether you came to see WCW or whether you came to see them. That was a little lame, but I'll give you another chance. But I always wondered if it came down to the two hottest tag teams in the world, how many people came to see DX?
Quite a warm response.
Nice response.
How many people came to see the NWO?
He's leading the audience there.
Sing along with Scott
the
Hall.
vocal intonation there. You know, I do that with my kids. Like,
It's really, really close. But survey says one more for the bad guy.
that's not fair because I could say to my kids, "Hey, kids, you want to go to Disney
And
World?
if you
Or
ain't
you wanna
down
go to
with that,
Afghanistan?"
then I got 2 words for you. Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop indeed, Sean Waltman. Unbelievable to have these 3 men in the ring together once again. It's been quite a time since these 3 have been together.
Now, Sean Waltman and Kevin Nash are both there. They're both veterans of the gathering. Am I right?
Ladies and gentlemen, at this
And we had a lot of mic work in this one. I mean, you had Kevin Nash, X-Pac, and Scott Hall on one side. Of course, Scott's not wrestling. He's just on the outside, but they're going to be taking on the New Age Outlaws. Isn't it crazy how many old shows we watch just all across this planet, whether it was, you know, something in the WWF or something in AEW or something on the independents here. Billy Gunn was everywhere.
And looked great. Didn't he?
I just don't understand how he's been everywhere and looked the same the entire time. Now I understand people would say, "Oh, well, you can look at his face and see he's gotten older." Yeah, he's not fucking mythical. He's a real human being, but from the neck down, he's the same dude.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
I mean, you've seen every other older wrestler who's been on this show and they did not age like Billy Gunn did. Whatever he's doing is working. And we just got a special guest referee. That was Vampiro who just ran out, or Vampiro. I'll always think of Marvez saying that last week.
Yeah.
I got a lot of great feedback from that, by the way. People were, you know, I don't know that, I guess me and you didn't talk about this, but when y'all were in Huntsville last for AEW, of course, as you know, as soon as his segment's over, Rick wants to go to the bar.
Yeah.
So he went to the hotel bar and he's just wearing my ass out to come over. And I'm like, man, the show's still going on. Like,
yeah,
I can't leave. So, when I do leave early, but not nearly as early as he does. And when I get over there, who is Rick sitting next to? Alex Marvez.
Yeah.
And Alex immediately says, "Hey, jump in here in the middle." So I sit between them and, just got to catch up with Alex and could see the show that Rick was putting on. It was fun. And, a few minutes later, Alex joined me and the rest of my, slapdick buddies, Mike Dawkins, Cassio Kid, Bart from the Meat Mart. And we're all hanging out. And, when it was all said and done, the next day I heard from Dawkins and from Cassio, and then later from Bart, how cool Marvez was.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw so many comments on Twitter last week. Boy, you and Tony Schiavone did the impossible. You made Alex Marvez cool. And it's like, he was always cool, guys. This is the same guy the whole time. You just saw what he did on TV and you thought, well, that guy's lame. He's supposed to be a lame backstage interviewer. In real life, he's engaging in a human being. Like, do you think he just walks through life like that? Come on, man.
Yeah. Yeah. It was great having Alex on. I have a lot of time for him.
Yeah.
He talks honestly about the business to me, and a lot of the stuff that we talk about, it stays between us. And the great news for me is, and I don't do this much, as you know, but tomorrow night, as we're taping this, tomorrow night in Winnipeg, I'm having dinner with Alex and Don Callis. And I cannot wait, because you talk about a couple of guys that make me laugh. Holy shit. And it is amazing when I first saw Don Callis. I know we've talked about this before, but I'm going to bring it up again. We first saw Don Callis on the ECW show, and I went, who the fuck is that?
Right.
And you said it's Don Callis, and I started calling him Don Calais,
which is hilarious.
Yeah. And now that I got to know him, you know, he knows the business, buddy. He's very smart.
Remember the days when you were always ready to go? Well, now you can be again with Blue Chew. They've got the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but in chewable form and at a fraction of the cost. Take them anytime. You can plan ahead or be ready whenever an opportunity arises. And the process is super simple. You sign up at bluechew.com. You consult with one of their licensed medical providers. And man, once you're approved, you'll get your prescription in a few days. That's it. And here's the best part. It's all done online. That means no visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversation, no waiting in line at the pharmacy. Blue Chew's tablets are made in the USA, prepared and shipped directly to your door, all in a discreet package. And Blue Chew wants to help you have better sex. Discover your options at BlueChew.com. Chew it and do it. We've got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew free when you use our promo code WHW at checkout. Just pay the $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com. The promo code is WHW and you receive your first month free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we want to thank Blue Chew for sponsoring today's podcast.
And Alex is too. So I'm going to have a good time with him. And yes, one thing about Billy Gunn, he's got a side headlock here on X-Pac, or whoever we're calling him at that time. 1, 2, 3 kid or whatever. Billy Gunn, I have so much respect for Billy Gunn. And the reason I do is he doesn't give a fuck backstage. I mean, he is brutally honest with these kids about what he saw in the ring. Be it if a kid comes to Billy Gunn and says, "What do you think of my match?" Well, get ready, put your seatbelt on, buddy, because he's going to be brutally honest with you. And I respect that so much of Billy. And God, he's one of the guys I just absolutely he just lights up a fucking room. And his kids are like that too. And I don't know if you remember, but when they lost the Trios Championship
to
the Bang Bang Gang, Billy had Colton down, okay, his head down between his legs. He said, "Suck it." And we thought, there's a dad with his son
right
between his legs saying, that's a moment I am going to remember for the rest of my life in wrestling.
That only exists in wrestling, by the way.
Only exists in wrestling.
That won't happen in football. You never see that in baseball.
No, you won't. It's like when Ken Griffey was alive and Ken Griffey Jr. was a star. Well, here comes Ken Griffey. His son is on deck. He wants to say something to him. Oh my God, he put his head between his legs and said, "Oh my God."
I love
God.
I love you for that.
Just really shit. Really good shit. And we got this again, it goes back to what we're talking about for this show. This is a megastar event. And again, I know DJ Turnup wants us to shit on something. I think we've done a good job of shitting on people on Twitter.
Yeah. I mean, listen, this is not, here's the thing. I appreciate what DJ Turnup wants us to do and shit on folks. I really do. But this to me is not supposed to be a regular wrestling show. Like, you just want to see the big stars one more time. Hey, these guys are in their 40s, 50s, 60s. You're not going to see, and none of them at this point are wrestling full time. Look how slow Vampiro is to count.
Mm-hmm.
Vampiro, come on, Vampiro.
Mm-hmm.
This is when he's going to take issue, and I bet it's going to set up a finish if I had to guess.
You know what? You are right on again. Although I would like to see something else with Alabama Doink in it.
Oh, we can make that happen next month here on the program.
So they wrestled in the Golden Corral parking lot. Did they wrestle anywhere else? Like maybe,
oh yeah, there's lots of Alabama Doink stuff. You don't have to worry about that.
Maybe they wrestled through a Costco or something. Oh, that would be fun. Okay. Here comes Kevin Nash. Still looks good. Obviously, you know about Scott Hall. He did not look good here. He was not doing well. And unfortunately he is gone. I got to talk to him, say hello to him and a few years back in, I don't know how many years it is now, but a few years back in Albany, New York. And I heard a voice say, "Hey, Count Schiavone." That's what they always call me.
Count Schiavone?
Count Schiavone. Yeah.
Why?
Because I look like a vampire, I guess, with my tux on.
Oh, I got you.
Like the Count.
I don't see that.
Yeah, but you know what? It was an endearing. I liked him calling me that. It was an endearing term, whether you saw it or not. Well, Vampiro got involved in this finish. 1, 2, 3, fast count. How about that? A heel referee. Ain't seen that before. It's something new.
Vampiro. Make sure that Kevin Nash and X-Pac pick up the win. And we have one match left, and it is our main event.
Oh, brother.
The final thoughts from old Scrooge McSuck says, if you were expecting a solid card of in-ring work, then you were mistaken. If you're a sick weirdo like me expecting a Heroes of Wrestling train wreck, wrong again. Yes, the majority of the performers on the show were far removed from their best days. It was obvious at times some of them just can't go anymore. The credit has to go to whoever put the show together. First and most importantly, never were any of the performers ridiculed for their appearances or faded abilities. Everyone was talked about with respect and dignity. Second, none of the matches went long enough to really create a train wreck atmosphere. Pairing people together according to their eras, like Memphis guys and ECW guys and Rock and Rolls and Midnights, was a sensible and successful concept. Sure, they could have trimmed a match or two, but overbooking has never been too much of a complaint, especially to see guys. And I was happy to see them rushed in and rushed out once the bell started, because it wouldn't have taken away the fond memories of being brought back by just simply being there. So I like that they got to not just rush, but hang out. I think that's a good observation, because when you're booking a show for television or pay-per-view, like you were talking about earlier, you got to clear the ring and get to the next thing. Like it's Crash television, but in a show like this, that's not the case. This isn't TV. Take your time, hang out, have some fun.
Yeah. A good observation from a dickhead. It happens at times.
You don't like how Scrooge McSuck?
Oh, you can Scrooge McSuck it.
Okay.
Hey, so this was done according to Cage Match. This show was located at Cave in Rock, Illinois. Cave in Rock, Illinois. Can't believe that's a real place,
right?
But I guess it is Cave in Rock. Where are you? Let's.
Kevin Nash is talking into the mic here with Kevin Gill and Mick Foley. I'm at 2, 12, 30, 31, 32. So we're home stretching it for our main event. It's going to be Terry Funk and Bob Orton in the corner of Roddy Piper. And here's a little spoiler. Bob Orton is going to have the cast on.
Oh.
The WrestleMania, like not WrestleMania and a number. I'm saying the word WrestleMania, the 1985 cast. He's still got in 2011. I love it so much.
Well, they were in the main event, right? He and Roddy Piper.
Yes.
Right.
Well, Bob was on the outside. It was Roddy Piper and Mr. Wonderful.
Okay.
Against Hulk Hogan and Mr. T.
Right.
This match, by the way, is only going to go 4 minutes and 14 seconds.
Mm-hmm. X-Pac is talking right now.
Everybody's just hanging out, having a good time.
See, I didn't hate this. I really liked. It's unique, right?
Yes. Yes.
To have a wrestler come by after you just wrestled and talk,
and just hang out a bit.
So this was very, very unique. You want
to track a little bit here?
And it's awesome to be here together.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
Fantastic to be here.
That's right. And you know what I also learned tonight? Bob Backlund is batshit crazy.
He is for real. For a shoot, right? He's out of his fucking mind.
He's out of his mind.
He's got a memory like sharp
It's unbelievable. But yeah, he's gone. He's gone. Hey, thanks, Sean. Great to see you.
Thank you both.
Thank you,
Sean.
Sorry, I wish I feel bad. I feel like I didn't live up to my standards.
No.
Oh, you did, and then some.
You know what I saw? I mean, that to me, that drive is there. The talent's there. You haven't missed a step, and somebody's missing the boat if you don't get another chance on the big stage. All right, I mean it.
I think in everything in its time.
All right, man. You deserve it,
Thank
though.
you so much.
You got it, man.
Congratulations, Sean. Well done.
Yeah.
Hey,
I got to tell you, I really thought that would have happened. It's interesting to me that it didn't happen. That he didn't get another big break in wrestling. Isn't that interesting to you?
Yeah, that's odd because he was he was really ahead of his time, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, the 1, 2, 3 kid was like a sensation.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But as I'm looking right now, I realize his last match was Joey Janela's Spring Break 2022. So that was over 2 years ago.
Uh-huh.
That might be it for a bit. I mean, he wrestled twice in 2022, just once in 2019. It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times in 2018. I guess he's done. I'd like to see him have one last match.
I would too. I have a lot of time for Sean. You know what I liked about that bit that we saw, not a bit, but that on camera that we all saw and tracked, is that it made me feel that, you know what, this is kind of a celebration of these guys' careers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Yeah. So I don't hate it. I like it. I like what we're seeing here.
I do too.
And you can't shit on it because of the respect you have for these performers, what they have done, what they meant to wrestling in their day. And now the Juggalos are giving him another chance. I have a lot of respect for that. Even old David Penzer, they gave him a chance, huh?
Dave Penzer does a great job, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah. Dave was a very, very good ring announcer.
It looks like his last, we're talking about Sean Waltman here. His last match was in TNA, in 2010. So it is crazy to think that he's done with both the WWE and TNA by 2010. I mean, he's been gone for 14 years. That's crazy.
That is. In 2010, was Eric Bischoff in TNA at that time?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, maybe he can address why they didn't use him anymore.
Hey, we're watching something pretty cool here. We got a little mail here at the Conradison. But we see Terry Funk coming to the ring wearing one of those Funk You shirts.
Yep.
And I recently got some mail here at the Conradison. As I mentioned to you before I clicked record, I no longer live in Huntsville. I now live in Guntersville, Alabama, about 35 minutes from here. I graduated high school. Yeah. And, my wife has a couple businesses over there and I can work from anywhere. So we bought a house a few years ago, took our time remodeling it. It's there. We're ready. We're in it. But I'm still for a few more days using this studio, but obviously when you're packing and you're moving, you wind up going through things that you haven't seen in a while. And one of those was a package I got that I knew what it was, but I didn't open it and I just set it aside because I was like, oh, I'm going to have to do something with that. I'll do that later. And then I never did. But I got a little handwritten note here, Tony.
Okay.
Conrad, as you can probably tell, I never washed the shirt. I was afraid if I did, it would unravel and fall apart. Literally for years, it smelled like Ben Gay or some other muscle cream and probably still does. If it has any kind of sentimental value for Mick, I'm happy for him to have it. It's a small trade for the years of entertainment, particularly the podcast. If he's not a trophy kind of guy, but someone else wants it, make him throw a few bucks towards a charity in the Funker's name. It's a gift for Mick. Jabroni's got to pay. Thanks, Seth V. So I got to get this to Mick, but look what he sent, dude.
God, man.
It's a ring used funk you shirt with blood on it.
Oh Lord.
And
of course, cut at the midsection, which is how he wore his shirt.
It's exactly the way he wore it. And so I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll get that framed and get it to Mick. And of course, Mick's not going to be listening on our Patreon podcast, so I don't mind sharing with you guys. But I'm going to get that framed and get it to Mick because, as you know, we just lost Terry last year, and and Mick is not sentimental about that sort of stuff. I mean, he doesn't hang on to all of his own stuff a ton. I mean, he usually lets it go for charity. But I know that Terry Funk was one of his wrestling heroes, so let's celebrate that for Mick. So I'm going to get that framed up and get it to Mick.
We ought to, before you get it framed up, we ought to take a picture of it and send it to Eddie Kingston.
Oh yeah.
Because buddy,
that's his guy.
I'm so glad. Yeah. I'm so glad Eddie Kingston's coming to my life. God, when people ask me, who's your favorite wrestler of all time? I'm going to say Eddie Kingston.
Wow.
And I'm not saying the greatest performer of all time, I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying my favorite guy to work with backstage is Eddie Kingston. We got so many great people. We got such a great staff at AEW. The Bucks are just wonderful kids. How can you get any better attitude and a person than Adam Copeland? You can't,
Right.
you can't find one, and more professional. So, but Eddie Kingston's my favorite of all time. Okay. Now Funk's got the microphone here. Roddy's in the ring. Bob Orton with the cast is in the ring. Do you want to see if we can try? Well, he threw the microphone to the referee. At least that's where I am. Where are you?
I see the referee sort of standing between
Yep.
Piper and Backlund. Piper's got the mic. Let's try.
Yeah.
I heard that pitiful music you had, Desperado. Let me tell you about your family. You're funked, your brother was funked, your father was funked, and I funked your mother.
What? Raising
You think you're a tough guy? You think you're...
Wait a minute.
I don't care for hearing the alcohol.
Oh my God. Terry Funk just losing control of himself here. Roddy
Now Piper's going to work with that microphone. Both of them just laying the boots in on Terry Funk here.
Oh my God, just whipping Terry Funk. Why is Cowboy Bob Orton in the ring? Whipping him like a government
Bob
mule.
Orton is supposed to be outside the ring. Piper doing the damage outside while Cowboy Ace Orton stands in.
Very unorthodox. No way Terry Funk could have prepared for this. Terry Funk being whipped out of this arena, being choked now on that barricade.
So what do you think of what we're watching here? I kind of dig it. Like, I know what we're watching. It's not
right.
I like this. I don't think this is nearly, what the Legends of Wrestling or the Heroes of Wrestling pay-per-view was.
Yeah, this is, I like this too. And boy, did that line by your father was a funk.
Yeah. And I funked your
funked
mother. Hilarious.
Roddy Piper, brother. One of the greatest stick man of all time.
Hey, I see your Peloton still hanging out in the background. How often do you use your Peloton these days?
Yeah, twice a month, maybe.
Do you think that was just, everybody went crazy for him during the pandemic and then we just kind of went back to life?
Yeah, but you know, what's funny about it is that when I get on it, I love it.
Yeah.
And I get off and I'm thinking, man, I've done something good. And the next day I'll do it again. And the next day I'll do it again. Then all of a sudden I've got a meeting or I've got to do some emails or I've got to write some copy and it's midnight and I go, I can't do it. And then I get back off of it. But yeah, you guys still have one?
Yeah. We've got the treadmill and the bike. Yep. And believe it or not, Megan's actually now got a stair climber.
Oh, wow. That's good stuff.
The first ever home stair climber. She's pretty excited about that. She's setting that up at the new joint.
Good. I have to ask you something about the new joint.
Yeah.
Did you get permission from the geese to finally settle?
We don't have a geese issue anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. You think you don't?
No, we don't. We don't.
Look, if they're flying by in a fucking flock and they look down and they want to fucking land on your front stoop.
I'll play whack-a-mole with those motherfuckers.
No. They'll land there. And I tell you, if you walk outside, you better bring help.
Look who's coming to make the save. It was a double team. Bob Orton and Roddy Piper were beating up on poor Terry Funk. And here comes right off color commentary, Mick Foley in the ring now. You want to talk about sending fans home happy? How big time is this?
Yeah. That's always important. Send them home happy. Bob Orton going to work on Mick, man.
I love watching the legends of professional wrestling, even if they don't perform like the legends anymore. That's no surprise, I guess. I am the guy who did Ric Flair's last match, but it's like what has existed in music for a long time. Those reunion tours or the last tour, the retirement tour, those sort of things. Like, I think we're all chasing that nostalgia.
Yeah.
You know, a buddy of mine calls it chasing the dragon. He said, man, I just fell in love with ECW and it was such a big part of my fandom. And I've been chasing the dragon ever since. Like, he wants to feel about pro wrestling the way he did way back then. And I really reminisce with that or identify with that. I connect with that. Like, that's the way I feel about it. And I think that's why we're doing all these podcasts that we're doing. And we've enjoyed so much success, is because we're all sort of chasing the dragon.
Yeah, that's very well said. And Terry Funk's going to bleed, isn't he? Doesn't matter what it is. Roll him up. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. Referee takes a bump. They're just rolling around on the mat.
And
now.
Funk's going after the ref, and the ref's like, let me get the fuck out of here. I'm not supposed to be here. Well, that's it, man. Believe it or not, Orton covered Funk for the 3 at 4 minutes and 14 seconds. So there you go. What a star-studded card. What a pick. This was not something that was on my radar or your radar. I can't believe we missed it. It happened in Rock, Illinois. It was an online pay-per-view, August 12th, 2011. And, your pal, Scrooge McSuck, said, I really dislike ICP and their mutant followers. But I just sat through Halloween Havoc 99, and honestly, nothing can ever be worse than that crap.
Thank you, Scrooge. Thank you. We appreciate your commentary. Now go back under your fucking rock.
And thank you guys for supporting us here for so long on WHW Patreon. We greatly appreciate all the support. It means a lot to Tony and his family and my family. And it's been such a fun ride. And right now we're closing down the month of April, but May is right around the corner. And that means you got a couple more pieces of bonus episode coming your way. But right now, Tony, it looks like it's about that time.
Ladies and gentlemen and boys and girls, we thank you for being with us as always here on Patreon. Tell your friends, maybe pretty soon I'll get back in the saddle here and do a little Q&A. We'll find out if I can work it into my schedule. But for Conrad Thompson in Guntersville, not yet. And for all the geeks that are going to bite him in the ass very, very soon, I'm Tony Schiavone. We are desperately out of time. See you next time on
Patreon, patreon.com/WHW Monday. SaveWithConrad.com.
I'm Nick Castillo from Waterville, Ohio. I've listened to several of his podcasts for a few years and have always heard the ads for Save with Conrad. And my wife and I were looking to refinance, and we had looked into a couple different options. And then I had remembered one of the ads and contacted you guys, and here we are. We had some debt that we accumulated, and we wanted to pay it down, get everything in under a much better, more manageable APR. So smooth. I've never had anything finance go that easy. We got a chance to work with Francis and Larry. They made everything comfortable. They were very personable. They were on top of everything. They made sure we were on top of everything. They were with us every step of the way, kind of guiding us. So like I said, I've never had an experience that went that smooth. Right off the bat, we saved at least $250 a month. Within a couple of months, we'll probably be at the $400 to $500 mark a month. I'm Nick Castillo from Waterville, Ohio, and I've saved over $400 a month with SaveWithConrad.com.
NMLS number 32416, equal housing lender, SaveWithConrad.com.